Hey, welcome to The Explainer. We hear these words grace and favor thrown around all the time, right? And sometimes it feels like they mean the same thing. But are they? Today, we're going to dig in and find out what the crucial difference really is between these two huge concepts. Have you ever just looked around and thought to yourself, why? Why do some people seem to have it so good, so blessed, while others are just constantly struggling? It's a tough question for sure. You see one person's life just taking off and another's is one challenge after another, and you can't help but wonder, what's really going on here? Well, a big part of the answer might actually be found in understanding two very separate ideas, grace and favor. Now, they're definitely related, but they are not the same thing. And once you really get the difference, a whole lot of things can start to make more sense. Okay, so let's start with the foundation, the bedrock of it all. First up, grace. You can think of this as the universal gift. So, what is grace? At its core, it's God's generous, undeserved kindness and love for us. And that word undeserved is absolutely key here. It's not something we can ever earn or work for. It's literally the heart of the entire gospel message. So let's just break that down a bit. First off, grace is unmerited. That means you can't earn it at all. It's completely undeserved. And it's for everyone. It's universally available to anybody who wants to receive it. And its main job, its whole focus, is on the biggest picture possible: salvation, forgiveness, and getting us right with God. The Apostle Paul just nails it in this verse. He says it's by grace you've been saved through faith. And then he makes it crystal clear. This is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God. It's a pure gift, plain and simple, so no one can ever boast that they somehow earned their way. Okay, so that's grace, the universal gift of salvation. So then, what in the world is favor? This is where things get really interesting and a lot more specific. Favor is different. You can think of it as God's special approval, maybe even preferential treatment. And look at the results it produces. We're talking tangible stuff like provision, protection, promotion, or success. This is where we start to see blessings pop up in very specific situations. And what's really fascinating is how it contrasts with grace. Unlike grace, which is totally universal, favor can often be situational. Sometimes it's even conditional, connected to our faithfulness and how deep our relationship with God is. It shows up as specific, real-world benefits, and it really points to a special kind of closeness with Him. The story of Joseph is just a perfect picture of this. Here he is, wrongly thrown in prison. It doesn't get much worse than that. But the Bible says that even there, God gave him favor with the prison warden. So favor isn't about having perfect circumstances. It's about God's presence in blessing right in the middle of whatever circumstances you're in. Okay, so this chart here really lays it all out side by side. You've got grace, its basis is unmerited, completely unearned. Its scope, a universal offer of salvation, and its main effect is redemption and forgiveness. Then you have favor. Its basis is often relational, sometimes even conditional. Its scope is way more specific, blessings, benefits, and its effect, things like protection, provision, influence. I heard a great way to think about it. Grace gets you into the family. Favor is all about the quality of your walk within the family. Makes sense, right? But, it's not always quite so straightforward. To really wrap our heads around favor, we have to look at a story that kind of flips our expectations upside down. The story of Job. And let's be clear about this. Job was absolutely favored by God. God himself is bragging about the guy, calling him blameless and upright. By any measure, this was a man who had God's stamp of approval. And yet, we all know the story. Job went through some of the most horrific suffering imaginable. And this is the part we just can't miss. God's favor is not some kind of magic shield that protects you from hardship. In fact, you could argue that sometimes it's the very reason you have to face it. But listen to Job's perspective. He saw the purpose behind it all. He realized the trial wasn't a punishment. It was a refinement process. God actually trusted Job with this trial because he knew it would purify his faith and bring him out shining like a gold. And this is probably the biggest insight from Job's entire story. At the end of it all, Job says something profound. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. See? The ultimate goal of favor isn't to give us a comfortable, easy life. It's to draw us into a much closer, more real relationship with God. Okay, so if favor isn't something we earn and it doesn't even promise us an easy life, where does it come from? How do we tap into it? This gets to the real heart of it all. Jesus gives us the perfect picture, this powerful metaphor. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. And all our ability to be fruitful, to really experience that favor, flows directly from being connected to Him. That key word here is abide. It just means to remain, to stay connected, to continually dwell. And what this tells us is that favor isn't something we do. It's not the result of an action. It's the natural result of a state of being constantly connected to the source of life. And the contrast couldn't be more clear. When we're apart from the vine, we're powerless. We're disconnected. We're just constantly striving in our own strength. But when we're abiding, when we're connected to our source, that's when we become fruitful. We find ourselves guided, provided for. We get to shift from a posture of striving to a posture of simply receiving. So here's the bottom line. Favor is all about your position, not your performance. It's not something you can achieve by ticking off a bunch of boxes or doing religious duties. It's the natural, strategic result of a deep, abiding relationship with God. All right, let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway from all this? How does this actually change how we live? Well, here are 3 things to focus on. First, shift your whole perspective. Stop seeing favor like a transaction. If I do this, God will do that. And start seeing it as relational. Second, focus on your position. Make that daily connection, that abiding, a higher priority than just performing for blessings. And third, embrace the real purpose of favor. It's not just for our own comfort. It's for mission. It's for impact. And that really brings us to the final thought, the big idea to leave you with. Maybe, just maybe, we've been asking the completely wrong question all along. Instead of frantically running around trying to figure out how to get more of God's favor, what if the real question, the one we should be asking ourselves, is this? How can I abide more deeply?